Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live Spirit Chat, happening usually once a week on most Saturdays at 12 noon United States Central Standard Time. This is a chance for you to participate in a free group teaching session and get your questions answered about developing your spiritual practice, developing your spiritual connection, developing your spiritual path, and all kinds of things related in between, like practicing magic and folk magic, divination, tarot, working with your spirit guides, working with your ancestors, and so forth and so on. Hello. Hi. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here. I'm just stirring some honey into some coffee. It's probably kind of loud, maybe coming through the microphone. I'm not sure. I'm just kind of getting settled in here. So I've been doing a lot of live guided meditations and prayer services. And I think I'm going to kind of take a break from that today and go back to the traditional format for our live spirit chats. I did allow people to submit some questions. Some of you may remember that last week I wasn't sure if I was going to keep letting people submit questions, but I'm giving it another try. So I've got some questions to answer for you all. And I've got a special announcement as well. And I also brought a stack of books so that we can talk about book recommendations just for fun. Hi, thanks for being here. Hi, Victoria. Hi, Yadi. Nice to see you both. I hope that you're safe. I hope that you're secure. I hope that you have everything that you need in your homes. Hi, Erin. Nice to see you. I hope that you're able to bring yourself back to the present moment, bring yourself back to center when you need to, able to remind yourself of what you can and cannot control, able to remind yourself of the strong center of security resting inside of yourself. And I hope that you're well. Hello. And actually, I'm sure that I'll have time to answer additional questions today. So if you have some things that you would like to discuss or questions that you would like answered, you can definitely feel free to throw those out there now. And after we're done with the other questions, I will start with yours. So if you get them out there now, then they'll be the first ones to be addressed when we're done with the other questions. Special announcement. I'm going to end up saying this again because there aren't very many people joining at the moment. But the special announcement is I just had my 5-year anniversary of owner and operator of Miss Melinda's Metaphysical Services. 5 years running my business. And I almost forgot the anniversary. It was on March 25th. Obviously, there's a lot of other things going on, which are on everybody's mind. So I almost forgot my own anniversary. Hi, Busy Bee Alchemy. Thank you. Hi, Blow Boil. Thank you. So 5-year anniversary of Miss Melinda's Metaphysical Services. And I'm throwing a party. I'm throwing a tarot party. And you're all invited. And it's going to be a private party. And it's going to be by invitation only. And you need to click the link in my Instagram bio. There is a link. And on that link, when you click, you will be able to see a button that says your tarot invitation or access to tarot party, your invitation. Click that button. It's going to give you the link you need to join the private, free, exclusive party that you are all invited to. It's going to happen next Saturday. Next Saturday, instead of live spirit chat, we're going to do this tarot party. So I'm really excited to host you all in celebration of my 5-year anniversary. I will be doing some free readings and we're just going to be hanging out, chatting, having fun, celebrating life. So please join me next Saturday. Click the link in my Instagram bio to get your free exclusive access, because you're invited to the tarot party next Saturday. It's going to be at 1 p.m. United States Central Standard Time. Yay. Okay. So I think I'll go ahead and take some questions. I'm going to answer the questions that were submitted in advance. Let's see here. If a spirit is trying to mount the body and I block it, am I blocking their connection? There we go. If a spirit is trying to mount the body and I block it, am I blocking their connection? So I'm assuming that you are asking about your body. If a spirit is trying to mount you and you block it, are you blocking the connection? You're not necessarily blocking the entire connection. You can still build a relationship with that spirit. You can still communicate with them in other ways. You're just blocking full possession or full mounting, right? So it really depends on what you want. You don't have to allow full possession or full mounting in order to perform mediumship. This depends upon how your gifts work for you. There are many other ways that you can also communicate with a spirit. And, it's up to you. You don't want to be fully out of control with a spirit anyway, unless you've developed a very strong, trusting relationship with them. So there are many times when you want to be in control of whether or not you allow that possession, that mounting. So this really depends on individual circumstances, and it doesn't mean that you're blocking the overall relationship. I think that's what you're asking, is if you're blocking the overall relationship. And for those of you who aren't sure what we're talking about, this is a practice in spiritualism where it's a practice of mediumship that exists within spiritualism, right? So some people allow full possession, and some people feel that that's the only way to practice mediumship within spiritualism. But you don't want to allow full possession unless this is one of your primary spirit guides that you have worked with over a long period of time and that you have really developed a relationship with. Now, somebody who is very open, they may have a very common occurrence of possession or mounting within this safe, secure, controlled environment. So let me also emphasize that. Usually in spiritualism, you are practicing with other people and you're practicing in a group setting, and there are all kinds of parameters in place. You're saying prayers for protection. You're saying prayers for love and light. You have your ancestors there. You have your primary guides there, so on and so forth. So you want to be in a safe setting, and you probably want to be with other people in this safe setting, especially if you're not super practiced at this type of mediumship and this type of spiritualism. So go ahead and let me know if you have any follow-up questions about that and if I have answered your question. And Aaron is asking, is it only through Instagram? Yeah, no, the private tarot party is going to be through Zoom. So it's not open to the public. It's only open to those of you who know about it and who click that link and get the access code. Also, those of you who are Mystic members, I have already posted the information there on Patreon for you so that you could get that information first. So right now, those are the two places where you can find the invitation and you can find the link. All right. And this is a good time to mention that these live spirit chats are brought to you from my Patreon members. These live spirit chats are made possible from my Mystic members. In many ways, they sponsor me so that I'm allowed to do this work, so that I have the freedom to volunteer my time and volunteer my expertise, volunteer my knowledge for you and offer these free sessions. So thank you so much to my Mystic members, to those of you who are members on Patreon. It's because of you that I'm able to do these free sessions for people. Okay. Hi, everyone. Lots of people joining on Instagram. So nice to see you. Let's get going with these questions. Is it bad that I sometimes have bubbles in my water on my altar, but there are times when I don't? So, again, for those of you who may not be familiar, in spiritualism, we use a lot of clear water or blessed water as offerings. In other traditions, they might call that charged water. Water assists with clear connection to spirits. Water assists with spiritual connection and with clarity in that spiritual connection. And when there are bubbles in your water, it is evidence that spirit is accepting that offering and replying to you. Lots of bubbles in the water is an excellent sign of receiving that spiritual connection and receiving positive response with that spiritual connection. And it's not bad that sometimes you don't have it. Just be grateful for the times that you do. The times that you do, it just means that you have an extra strong spiritual connection, or that spirit is responding to you in an extra strong or extra positive way. But don't feel upset or feel like it's bad the times when you don't have bubbles. It doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have a spiritual connection. There are a lot of other ways that spirit can respond to you and send you those signs and messages and let you know of their presence and their support. So look for those other ways that support, those signs, those messages can come through as well. There are a lot of questions that aren't questions. Can you get into empaths, the definition, the symptoms, and coping? Yes, I can. So, the definition of an empath is when somebody can feel the feelings of somebody else. And a lot of people get empaths and clairsentience mixed up with one another. So when you're clairsentient, your psychic abilities or your intuition are also coming through you through feelings, through energy, and it's most often felt in your body, in your emotional body, in your physical body. And when you're an empath, the things that you're specifically picking up on are emotions and energies from other people, and you may feel them as your own emotions. That is a difference, because when you are clairsentient, you're not necessarily feeling them as your own emotions, although they are in your emotional body. So many people who are empaths also are clairsentient, but not everybody. So it is important to kind of know these distinctions. And empaths often will have, when you're not aware that you're an empath, so let me give you a personal example. I wasn't aware at one time that I was picking up on other people's feelings and that I was picking up on the emotional energies of a specific place. So let me clarify. When you're picking up on the emotional energies of a specific place, if you're a clairsentient or if you're experiencing clairsentience, then you would be picking up on the vibrations of the place itself, like just the feeling of the physical location or the physical space. But when you are experiencing empathic gifts, then you could be picking up on the vibration, the overall emotional energy of a group of people within a physical space, and even the residual energies associated with the emotions of a group of people in that physical space. So sorry guys, there's like a hair on my lip. It's driving me crazy. I can't get it. I think it's gone. So there was a restaurant that I was working in, long story short, and every time I went there, I felt sick. Every time I went in, I felt sick. And sometimes I would go home. I would be like, something is wrong with me. I don't know what's going on. Suddenly, as soon as I get here, I am feeling terrible. A lot of times it would be stomach problems, or sometimes it was just that I felt really drained and really tired or really agitated, and I didn't know what was wrong. And I thought that I was sick. I thought I was getting sick all the time. And sometimes I would leave work and I was like convinced that something strange was wrong with me, but then I would go home and I would feel better. I would just automatically feel better. So then I started to feel like, oh my God, am I crazy? What is wrong with me? I'm sick every time I go to this place. And then when I go home, I feel better. And of course, my coworkers and my managers and stuff thought that I might be crazy too, or at least they thought, it's confusing. It's a confusing situation. They didn't know what was wrong with me. Like, well, she's sick an awful lot. So I'm telling this story to illustrate some of the symptoms that you could experience as an empath. So the way that you can tell that it's not your feeling is when it comes on all of a sudden and it comes from nowhere with no rhyme or reason, and there have been no precursor symptoms, and there's no emotional state happening in your life that would cause you to feel this way, or there's nothing going on in your life that would cause you to feel this way emotionally, so on and so forth. So you have to be able to check in with yourself and say, is this feeling mine? And it's like, as soon as you ask your body that, just bringing that awareness to yourself, just bringing that awareness to your mind and bringing that awareness to your body, brings you a much greater mindfulness that tells you right away, makes you aware right away if it is yours or not. So the simple act of stopping and asking yourself, is this feeling mine? Is this emotion mine, or is this feeling mine? Will tell you right away. You will have a deep knowing within you. And if it isn't yours, you will be able to release it. And it's as simple as saying, okay, it's not mine. I release it. And then physically relaxing your body, you will be able to feel the energies and the emotions that are not yours releasing and flowing out of your body. So to recap, when you are an empath, you may have unexplained emotions and unexplained physical ailments that are not, that have no rhyme or reason, right? That have no precursors. There's nothing going on in your life. There's nothing going on with your health. There have been no previous symptoms. And one of the ways that you can tell that you're having these kinds of unexplained symptoms is they happen in one location, but not another. They happen when you're around certain people, but not when you're around other people's. They come and go, they disappear. And one of the ways that you can really become aware of this is by being very mindful and checking in with your body and asking yourself, is this mine? And when it's not yours, you can very easily release it. It's all about being mindful and being in tune with yourself, your body, and your emotional state. What is the other thing? The other thing I was going to say is being an empath is not a weakness the way that it has been communicated about in social media very often. It's not something that requires you to sequester yourself. It's not a handicap. It's a beautiful gift that can be used to your strength. It can be used in ways that assist you with helping the world, in ways that assist you with helping yourself. It is a psychic ability, just like any other psychic ability. But yes, you may need to protect yourself and you need to be aware. But mindfulness and awareness is something that is needed for all spiritual practice and for all intuition and all psychic abilities. And it's needed in general overall to improve our lives anyway. So this isn't something specific only to being an empath. It's something that is good for all of us in order to stay healthy and strong and centered and spiritually connected. When you are an empath, you may want to practice some shielding techniques. And a very simple shielding technique is to imagine a bubble of light surrounding you. And I prefer a light blue color, but you may want to experiment with which colors work for you. Imagine a bubble of light surrounding you on all sides. You can see it or you can feel it, whatever works for you. But see this or feel this from above yourself, from below yourself, from behind yourself, on all sides, completely surrounding you. And set the intention that this bubble of light is protecting you from unwanted energies or unwanted entities, but it is made up of moving particles, just like the rest of life, just like everything is made up of moving particles. And set the intention that it will allow good things, positive influences to get through to you, but it will prevent anything unwanted from getting through to you. That is a very simple and very powerful technique for shielding as an empath. Thank you for wishing me a magical day. I'm trying to make these questions go away so I can move on to the other ones. Lots of like advertisements and self-promotions. I don't know what this is supposed to mean. So now I'm going to take your live questions, and I'm going to start with YouTube, because there are a lot of people here on YouTube and you all were here first. If you weren't here at the beginning of today's live spirit chat, I am Miss Melinda, owner and operator of Miss Melinda's Metaphysical Services.com, and I have just passed my 5-year anniversary as owner and operator of Miss Melinda's Metaphysical Services.com. To celebrate, I am throwing a tarot party. You are all invited. We're going to be having fun. We're going to be celebrating life. I'm going to be offering some free readings. If you would like to attend this tarot party, which you are all invited to next Saturday, 1 p.m. United States Central Standard Time, it is a free party. It is live. It is private. You can find your exclusive link by clicking the link on my Instagram bio and hitting the button that says Tarot Party. It says Tarot Party, exclusive access, Tarot Party, you're invited. Okay, look for the Tarot Party button and click that button. You will receive your exclusive link to get into the party. You need a link. It's a private party. So sign up and come to the party. What is a good deck to combine with candle work? Combine any deck that resonates with you. The most important thing in working with a deck of cards, and I say cards because it could be playing cards. It can be any cards. If you want to do card magic, it doesn't have to be tarot. It can be oracle. It can be playing cards, so on and so forth. The most important thing is that that deck resonates with you, that it's something that you have a connection with and something that works well for you. So there's no best one. The best one is the one that works for you, that you have a connection with. Hi, Yadi. Thanks for letting me know that you are here. Yeah, definitely. Definitely is mediumship, and is well known as mediumship within spiritualist practices. Yes, Victoria, I have posted that information on Patreon for the Mystic members so that you all have it. I wanted you to be the first to have the information and the first to be invited for the tarot party. I posted that yesterday, so go ahead and check it out. How can I hear my guides more clearly? I always get the message that a guide is trying to communicate with me, but that I'm not paying attention or I'm not hearing them. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. It may be that you're expecting to hear them. It may be that you're expecting to physically hear them or to hear them in your mind, and that may not be the primary way that your guides communicate with you. The most effective and most important thing that you can do is to really pay attention to your own intuition. Your intuition is the gateway to your deeper psychic abilities, and it's through your psychic abilities or your personal spiritual connection that your guides are going to speak to you. So it may not be through hearing. Hearing is claircognizant. Hearing is clairaudience. There may be other ways that your guides are going to speak to you or send you signs or send you messages. So you have to pay attention to how these things work for you. Perhaps you're more visual. Perhaps you would be more likely to receive signs through visions or through pictures in your mind or through images. Perhaps you would be more likely to see them through dreams. Perhaps you would be more likely to see these signs showing up in your everyday life, in your physical world, or in nature oracles, so on and so forth. There are a million ways that your guides can speak to you. And the mistake that is most commonly made is that we all expect we're either going to see them as an apparition, or we're going to hear them as like we would hear another person speaking to us, or like a voice in our head. This is not the way that it works for everybody. So pay attention to how you specifically as an individual receive signs. Pay attention to how your intuition works. Be mindful, get more in touch with that, and you will begin to develop further your intuition and your spiritual connection. And you will also begin to understand more clearly how you can receive these signs, messages, and guidance. I hear sometimes music on the graveyard, hear people seeing, smell food, and nobody is there. Awesome. So you have a really strong connection with the dead. So you are picking up on what's going on with the spirit world in the cemetery. That's cool. Oh my gosh, that totally just changed the game for me. Imagine it as moving particles. Yeah, awesome. I'm glad that that was helpful, Busy Bee Alchemy. She's talking about the quick shielding technique that we discussed for empaths. We discussed shielding and imagining it as moving particles so that you can allow positive energy and things that you want to get into you. Because, you know, a lot of people talk about shield yourself, block yourself from outside influences. Well, what about the good energy that your loved ones send to you or that others send to you? What about the good vibes, the well intentions, the good thoughts, the prayers? You don't want to block any of this out. This is very similar to people who are really sensitive or who have been through a lot of trauma or a lot of pain, building up walls around themselves, building up walls around their hearts, and feeling as if they're protecting themselves. And they are protecting themselves, but they're also preventing love from getting in, preventing blessings from getting in, preventing abundance from getting in, right? So we don't want to shield ourselves to the extent that we are disallowing a connection, a natural connection with positive influences and with the universe and with our blessings. Oh, I do not. I don't have, let's see. So the question is book recommendations for empaths. I probably do, but not off the top of my head. Oh, I have one in my pile that could be helpful for empaths. It's Energy Essentials for Witches and Spellcasters. Energy Essentials for Witches and Spellcasters by Maya Ohm. Because she writes a lot about energy work. And I do have some other books in my collection that would be good for empaths, but I don't remember off the top of my head what they are. So I'm just making a note because this could be something that I could post about or make a future video about. Because I have a lot of books about working with energy and a lot of books about psychic techniques for working with energy. And many of these kinds of practices and tools and techniques are excellent for empaths. So I probably have some, and I made a note of that so that I can post about it or somehow get the information out there in the future. Well, if you're experiencing a lot of clairaudience and that's how you're expecting your guides to get through to you, that you feel like, let's see, what were you saying earlier? You get the feeling that a guide is trying to communicate with you, but that you're not paying attention or you're not hearing them and you don't know what you're doing wrong. Well, you're not necessarily doing anything wrong. It's just, communicating with a being from another realm is not always something that comes through super clear and super immediately. We have to look for the quiet messages. We have to be really mindful, and we have to practice and hone our skills, and they have to practice and hone their skills as well. They have to practice and hone their communication. Sometimes it's on their end. Sometimes they have to learn or relearn how to communicate with us. So what I'm trying to say is it can just take practice, but work on your meditation, work on your mindfulness, work on continuing to develop your psychic abilities and your connection, and it will come through. Okay, I'm going to answer some Instagram questions now. If we dream about a saint or deity, are they reaching out for connection? Most often, yes. Most likely, yes. And you will know, you'll have the intuition for it. If you wake up and you have a strong knowing about that dream, or you have a strong feeling about that dream, you will know. So pay attention to your dreams. That is a very common way for a saint or a deity to inform you that they want to make a connection or build a relationship with you. Peace and blessings. Nice to see you. Rafa Mantra. Are you talking to me when you say I'm not bipolar? You're right. I'm not bipolar. I think she is talking about my story about being an empath and going to a particular restaurant all of the time, and then feeling sick afterwards, and later realizing that it was because I was picking up on the overall emotional a body of that place and the overall emotional collective of the people in that place. How can I find out if I have a Lamadama or Hitana spirits? Do I need a professional readings, or can I go with my personal experiences? So it depends on if you want to follow or practice a tradition or not. If you want to get involved in a particular tradition, or you want to practice with other spiritualists, because this is one way, this is really where these families of spirits have originated from, is spiritualism. So if you want to practice a specific kind of spiritualism, or you want to practice with other spiritualists, then you will want to get a reading to determine your spiritual frame. Or your spiritual frame can also be determined through your practice with them, through your practice with others. That's really what I recommend, is that you attend misas and you practice, and then you allow your spirits to come through to you. It's not necessarily a professional reading. Sometimes it's just through organic practice that these things reveal themselves. You can go with your personal experience. I also recommend that. I recommend intuition and personal practice above all things. But I also recommend that if you're going to be working with spirits, then this is a little bit more formalized than many other practices in which I would recommend relying on your intuition. So to be clear, if you're going to go upon your personal experience, then you need to kind of formalize this practice for yourself, be committed to it, be consistent with it, make sure that you're implementing protection, make sure that you're implementing cleansing, make sure that you know how to keep yourself safe, and that you are really working on developing your mediumship and developing your intuition and developing that spiritual connection, because you want to be sure you want to be sure that the spirits that are coming to you are the ones that you think that they are. And there's a lot of other things I could talk about with this. There's a lot of other ways to approach this. I could go on and on and on, but that's the basic foundational information. And I think with that information, you could really dig deeper into this. But you can let me know if you have other specific follow-up questions. Oh, yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad that this is helpful for you, Beth Flynn. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly, and that's a good point, Rafa Mantra. Empaths can often get labeled as bipolar or having emotional problems. That didn't happen to me, although I think that there were times when people questioned what the hell was going on with me. But yeah, empaths can definitely get labeled as having mental or emotional problems, or being bipolar, or maybe borderline personality disorder is one that would pop into my head. You could be misdiagnosed with these things. That's not to say that these things don't exist. That's not to say that these are not also real mental health problems. I would never discount that. I'm not a medical professional. But be aware, be mindful, because there can be an energetic or spiritual cause of things that are going on with you as well. And mindfulness is really the key that's going to open up that awareness for you. Santa Muerta, I see her everywhere, books, cards, etc. I always loved the graveyard as a kid, and I don't feel fear. It gives me a kind of peace. You mentioned her in a video. She calls. Yeah, you're the only one that's going to know if she calls for you. I mean, I could do a reading for it, but in general, it's your intuition that you need to follow when you are building a spiritual connection or a spiritual relationship with a spirit or with a deity. And just keep in mind that she's one that is going to need a more formalized practice. She's one where you really want to be educated about her history, her culture, her context, and you want to pay homage to her people and to the ancestors that have worked with her. You want to pay homage to their history and to their culture, and you want to be respectful, because she's going to appreciate that, and because it's also the right thing to do. So she's one that needs a more formalized education and a more formalized, consistent, and dedicated practice. Coloring is a good mindfulness practice. Thanks for the tip. That may be really helpful for others. Learning to observe versus absorbing has helped me. How can I develop my clairvoyance? You can develop your clairvoyance. You can develop your clairvoyance the same way that you develop any other, you develop your intuition, or you develop any other psychic connection or spiritual connection. So the first thing that I always recommend is meditation. And the second thing that I recommend is that you begin to practice some specific techniques that will assist you with that specific ability. So there's lots of techniques, there's lots of meditations, there's lots of energy work or chakra work out there that can help you with your clairvoyance that is specifically targeted to it. For instance, working with your third eye is a way to assist you with developing your clairvoyance. If you want a specific exercise for developing your clairvoyance, then begin to use some kind of a screen for your third eye. Practice envisioning a screen here, like a lot of people use a movie screen. So after you do your normal meditation, as you're saying that you already do, after you do your normal meditation and you change your brain waves and get into that meditative state, then you can go into a visualization where you imagine a screen or a picture frame or a television set, something that can show you pictures, right? Develop a technique that works for yourself and imagine that just coming into your mind's eye. So, one that I prefer is a movie screen. And what I would envision is the big red velvet drapes opening up and showing me the movie screen. And then you just practice tuning into that movie screen and being open to and allowing pictures to be shown to you, to appear to you. And at first, when you're experiencing this, you do not want to focus on interpreting those images as they are coming to you. The first most important practice is to just allow the images to come to you, and you are strengthening your connection with your third eye and strengthening your connection with your clairvoyance by just allowing those images to come to you. When you are out of your meditative state, when you're done with the practice, then you can write down the images that you saw and then you can think about interpreting them. But interpretation is not the first most important thing. The first most important thing is allowing those to come to you. And you also, the reason that it's really useful to imagine a screen is because not only are you opening that screen, like with the red velvet curtains that I was mentioning, you also want to close the screen. So in that way, you're also training yourself that you can go into that state or be open to that gift when you want to. You can open it and close it when you want to. And this way, you're training yourself to be able to actually utilize this in the moment when you want to in the future. It takes practice. If you're already practicing meditation and your clairvoyance isn't developing the way that you want it to, then it's time for you to go deeper into your meditation or deeper in your practices or deeper in your energy exercises. But this exercise that I've given you for developing clairvoyance is very powerful. And if you stay consistent with that, it will continue to develop. Yes, working with sound frequencies can help with all kinds of things. It can help with all kinds of different psychic abilities. It can also help with all kinds of different chakra work. And of course, different chakras are associated with different psychic abilities as well. So you can take this into a direction that really resonates with you as an individual too. And sound frequencies are one of those directions. Also, in some forms of yoga, there will be specific chants and specific tones associated with those chants that resonate with different chakras. And like I said, different chakras are associated with different psychic abilities. So that's another direction that you could go. When I was a little kid, I'd wake up to the sound of my name like it was right in my ear. It happened again recently. Spirits, how might I go about finding out what messages there might be for me? So yeah, it can definitely be spirits, but more prominently, that is a sign that you are clairaudient. Clairaudient people are the people who most often experience the sound of their name being repeated when no one is actually saying it. So anytime that you experience, you'll hear phrases or pieces of information. Often you'll hear your name called or you'll hear whispering, things of this nature. That is a sign that you are developing or that you have a propensity towards clairaudience. And yeah, you could look at it as your spirit guide reaching out to you. But when you, Excuse me, I'm getting distracted by some other things that I'm reading. You can look at it as your spirit guide reaching out to you, but the most important thing for you to delve into with this whispering of your name is the development of your clairaudience. Because even if it is a spirit guide reaching out to you, which it very well may be, the way that they're reaching out to you is to tell you that this is how they want to speak to you, right? So developing your clairaudience and continuing to focus on that is going to allow you clearer communication with them. It's also going to allow you stronger, clearer intuition and stronger, clearer psychic abilities in general. So the most important piece of that experience is the clairaudience. Oh, yeah. So, of course, on YouTube, people are asking what is the IG profile so that they can find the link and join the tarot party. So I'm typing that out here. And it's MM Metaphysical. So there are 3 M's followed by Physical. MM Metaphysical, 3 M's. I just typed it out on YouTube. If you weren't here before, the reason that people are requesting this information is because I am throwing a free private tarot party. You are all invited. We're celebrating my 5-year anniversary of Miss Melinda's Metaphysical Services. We're going to be having fun and celebrating life, and I'm going to be giving out some free readings, and it's a private event, and you need a link to join. And if you click on my Instagram bio, there is a link. And when you click on that link, there will be some buttons. And one of the buttons says, Your Tarot Invitation, access to the tarot party, right? So click that button, you'll get the link, and then you can join. It's going to be next Saturday at 1 p.m. United States Central Standard Time. And it's going to be private, and it's going to be fun. And I look forward to hosting you all there. I look forward to reading for you. And I just look forward to it. It's going to be great. I hope to see you. Yeah, for sure. That is a very, very common experience of somebody who has propensity towards clairaudience. The whispering of your name is one of the biggest and strongest ways that you can tell that you have a gift for clairaudience that can be further developed. Hi, Billy Jackson. Nice to see you. Well, go ahead and try to word it, Rafa Mantra. So I see there's something going on with some exchange of information, maybe some exchange of information about Santa Muerta. I'm not sure what's going on there, but go ahead and email that to me too. If you're going to exchange this information, then I'd like to also see what's going on. Thank you. Okay, so I have a pile of book recommendations just for fun. And we're at a good point where there aren't any questions right now. And we've got a little over 10 minutes left. So I'm going to start talking about some of these book recommendations. But you can also feel free to throw out some questions if you have any more. There might be time for me to get to a couple of them. I already talked about Energy Essentials for Witches and Spellcasters by Maya Ohm. And this is a really great foundational book for anybody who wants to know the basic tools and basic techniques for practicing magic from any perspective and from any tradition. If you've ever been interested in just writing your own spells, or if you've ever wondered what are the actual foundational tools, or what do I really need to know in order to make effective magic or cast an effective spell, then this is a great book for you. Energy Essentials for Witches and Spellcasters. It will give you powerful foundational tools for writing your own spells from any tradition or any perspective. or without any tradition, right? I know I've been shifting for years into more of the spiritual versus body work, the combination needing to work fluidly. I'm having a hard time grounding a spiritual business. My water body is sensitive. So I have a hard time doing the cap thing with it. Okay. Well, it sounds to me like you're kind of blaming yourself a little bit for being sensitive and for not being grounded. And it sounds like you are assuming that your watery, ungrounded nature is a weakness or a flaw. So, what I would recommend is that you actually see that as a strength and you embrace it and you learn how to make it into a strength that works for you. In other words, if you don't find that you can easily adhere to specific schedules or specific ways of organizing things, then you have to make that work for yourself. You can't force yourself to be something that is different than what you are. So you have to make this work for yourself, and you have to be fluid and flexible and adaptable, which is a wonderful strength of a watery person. Fluidity, adaptability, flexibility, wonderful strengths that you have. So you need to be able to go with the flow of how you're feeling every day and how you're feeling in the moment. Accept how you're feeling, embrace it, and make it work for you. When you feel inspired, bring work to others that is inspiring. When you feel introverted, work on behind the scenes projects, just as an example of how you can flow with this. And then the other thing that I was going to say is that it seems like you haven't totally found your perfect focus or your perfect voice on how to implement these different aspects of things that you are interested in into one conglomerated whole. So you're still kind of trying to find your voice. So make that part of your focus, make that part of your prayers, make that part of your meditations, that you're setting the intention that you are finding your perfect aligned mode of services or mode of connecting to your clients or mode of connecting to the outside world. There's some intentional work that needs to be done surrounding your alignment, aligning your interests and your areas of expertise and your knowledge and your authentic self with the needs of your clients so that you can find your ideal client, so you can find your ideal audience, and so that you can communicate clearly and authentically with that ideal audience. So work on your alignment surrounding those things and learn to embrace your unique characteristics and make them a strength for yourself. Those are my two biggest recommendations for you. There's a lot of energy work that can be done with with hands-on healing, and I feel like that's the direction you're moving in, and there are many ways to combine that with magic and ceremony. So keep exploring that. You'll find the thing that works for you. You're welcome. Oh, good. You bought Energy Essentials and you love it. I'm so happy that that has worked out for you, Busy Bee Alchemy. Yeah, you could find it on Amazon, Victoria. I'm not sure if I recommend buying from Amazon at this point in time, but if that's your preference, you can find it there for sure. So here's another book that I just recently got. It's The Secret Keys to Conjure. The Secret Keys to Conjure. And it's by Chas Bogan. The Secret Keys to Conjure by Chas Bogan. And this is a really thorough and really informative book. If you're looking for something to study these days, then yes, this is a great way to go. One of the things that I really like about this is that it does focus on some of the spiritualist practices that are embedded in conjure work, right? So it talks about unlocking psychic awareness. It talks about divination and many other things to do with psychic abilities from the perspective of conjure work and folk magic. And so this is a wonderful book to take a different perspective on divination and psychic abilities and psychic practice, as well as to learn lots of nuances about conjure work and folk magic. Highly recommend this book. Oh, okay. So you want to also work literally on your physical voice. Yeah, do some throat chakra work. Do some vibrations, some sound vibrations, some chanting, things of this nature. That sounds like it will be great for you, and it will translate into other areas of your life and other areas of your spiritual development. It will allow you to also find your voice in other ways. That sounds like an excellent way for you to go. And see, you already know it. You already know what you need to do, right? You're already following your intuition. Just continue to build that trust in your own intuition and build that trust in your own path and in your own unique perspective. And as you build that trust, you're going to build confidence, and you're going to also find ways to turn these things that you view as a weakness into a strength for you. And it's not a weakness. That's something that the outside world tells us. The outside world tends to embrace a different set of personality traits, right? We're taught you have to be practical, you have to be strong, don't be fluid, don't be emotional, don't be intuitive, be logical. Well, that's not the world that we're living in anymore. We are actively creating and shaping a new world where these other characteristics are embraced and these other characteristics are valued, and these characteristics are what is going to assist us with shaping this new world. So you are going to be part of that transition and part of that positive change by, first of all, embracing that within yourself and turning it into a strength that is going to help you make your life better and in turn help you make the world better. I'm not sure, Victoria. You will have to check. I don't know who ships to Europe. um, but there's lots of places to get books online. I'm not telling you that you can't buy from Amazon. I just know that there is some controversy about it. I know they don't always treat their employees well, especially the delivery employees. I know that there's some controversy around it surrounding what's going on right now with our health concerns worldwide. So these are just, things that I know about that are part of my personal opinion. And I'm not going to tell you where to shop. I just happened to mention that. It's like everything else is really complementary, not core. Yeah, I get what you're saying. You'll find it though. Just keep that intention and keep praying for it and keep meditating on it. So I'm going to log off on Instagram because we're running out of time. I'm getting the clock counter. So thank you all for being here. I'm going to stay on YouTube and I'm going to go through this pile of books with you all. So thanks so much for being here on Instagram today. Don't forget to click the link to find access to the tarot party that you are invited to. Okay, I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you all for your participation. Thank you for your questions and your conversation. Much, much love to all of you. Be well, stay safe, and have a great day. Many, many blessings. Still here on the tube. Let's go through the rest of this pile of book recommendations. And I'll see maybe if there are a couple of more questions before logging off. Okay, so I've mentioned some of these books I've definitely mentioned before and I have posted about on Instagram, but these are some of my favorite go-tos right now. And I know everybody is looking for stuff to kind of get involved in at this time and to some constructive things to focus on while we're staying at home. And I've said it before, but I'll say it again. It's my belief that one of the purposes for this time is for us to continue to focus on our spiritual development and our spiritual awareness. So thank you for being here. And I know that with you being here, that you are probably not going to lose your center, that you are probably a person who wants to continue to work on your spiritual development and your spiritual connection. And I am so happy that there are so many of you in the world, and I'm so happy to connect with so many of you. So I'm going to recommend some more books that can also help you with continuing to do that through this time, as well as some books that are really enjoyable and really fun. Magic and Mystery in Tibet is one of my favorites. Oh, I love this book so much. It's so entertaining. It's such a good read. Really excellent, interesting stories about traveling through Tibet and traveling all over that area of the world during the 1940s while World War II was going on. Really cool storytelling, as well as packed full of great information about Tibetan practices of magic and sorcery and working with spirits and so on and so forth. It written by David Neal, Alexandra David Neal. Okay, I was like, what? I knew it was a female author. Her last name is David Neal, Alexandra David Neal. And she's written a bunch of other books about her travels through that area of the world and about her initiations into mysteries of that area of the world. So really, really great read. Highly recommended. I haven't dug into this one as much as I would like to, but I'm going to be soon. This is Do It Yourself Akashic Wisdom by Jackie Smith and Patty Shaw. Jackie Smith and Patty Shaw. Jackie Smith is the owner of Coventry Candles, based out of Ferndale, Michigan. But she's well known in the magic community. She's an excellent witch and she's a great author. And this is a really unique and really approachable philosophy for Akashic wisdom. So accessing the Akashic library, it's a different way of doing psychic work. Really interesting book. Highly recommended if you're looking for an approachable way to learn about and practice with Akashic wisdom and the Akashic library. Still working on this one. It's a big one. And I have a tendency to read like 5 or more. Honestly, there are about 20 books sitting on my bedstand right now. So I have the tendency to read a variety of books at a time, which means I don't finish them very fast. But Drawing Down the Moon by Margot Adler. Highly, highly recommended if you're looking for something that's going to give you some history, in-depth history in a non-boring way, in an understandable and non-boring way about the development of witchcraft and paganism in the Western world, specifically in the United States. Very, very excellent, very informative, lots of historical information, and just really great read as well. Written really well, easy to comprehend, fun to read, but packed full of historical information so that you can really understand the foundational shaping of these traditions in the United States and kind of how it's evolved. So if you're looking for that sort of information, Drawing Down the Moon is excellent. It's written from an anthropological perspective, meaning that it takes into consideration historical and cultural context. So because of that, they have case studies of practicing witches throughout time, And this is the updated version. So they have case studies of more modern practicing witches, as well as delving into some of the histories and involvement surrounding some of the famous witches that we've all heard of, like Silver Silver Ravenwood, Dorian Virtue, lots of other people, Gardner, Gerald Gardner, Buckland, Raymond Buckland, all of these people, really great information. Okay. The Grief Recovery Handbook. Those of you who are Mystic members on Patreon, you know that we're going to be delving into grief work like soon, within the next few days. This week, we're going to be working on it all week long. But the Grief Recovery Handbook, I highly recommend for anybody who has any kind of unfinished grief, anybody who has an old wound, old sadness, something that's been difficult to heal from, something that's been difficult to feel that you have closure with. And keep in mind that grief is not just about deceased loved ones. It's not just when you lose another human. It's when you lose relationships. It's when you lose jobs. It's when you lose your health. It's when there's a change in your health. It's when you lose structure in your life. It's when you lose family ties. Okay. There are lots and lots of ways that we experience grief, and we're not well informed about it in our culture, and we're not well nurtured with it in our culture, and we're not given great tools for dealing with grief, for completing our grief, for moving forward and healing. This book was life-changing for me through very personal, very difficult times. I struggled for years with some very significant loss and health issues that I have gone through. And this was instrumental in kind of giving me a new perspective, allowing me to see things differently, and allowing me to embrace and nurture my own healing from a different perspective. I highly recommend the Grief Recovery Handbook. It's not difficult to work through. As you can see, it's very thin. It's very clearly written in plain, direct words. It's not heady. It's not super psychological. It's very easy to work with, and it offers really practical, hands-on tools for working through and completing your grief. That's my pile of books for today. I accessed the Akashic records in my dreams by mistake. Yeah, that happens. That happens to lots of people. I hear about that a lot. A lot of people don't really realize that they're doing it, right? It's just like we talk to our spirit guides without setting the intention to do so in our dreams, or we go and we speak with our ancestors in our dreams without intending to do so. So, there are ways to set some intention behind this and these practices, and to do these practices with purpose, right? And that's part of what we're doing with our spiritual work, is learning how to intentionally do it, and learning how to do it with intention and with purpose, so that we can further activate ways to deepen and strengthen our spiritual connection and grow spiritually and grow personally, right? That's what a spiritual practice is all about, is putting that power in our hands, and really intentionally shaping our own path and being co-creators of our own spiritual development, and entering into a relationship with the universe where we're an active participant working hand in hand, Okay, great. Well, thanks so much for being here, everybody. It was so lovely to see all of you. I appreciate your questions. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your conversation and your participation. Don't forget to get your exclusive link so that you can join the tarot party next Saturday and celebrate my 5-year anniversary with me, and so that you can enter for a chance to get some free readings. I look forward to seeing all of you. I'm sending you many, many blessings. I'm wishing you good health and strength and mindfulness and centeredness through this time. And I love you all. I love you. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye bye.